Hey, how's it going? I recently got into reloading 9mm using a Lee single-stage press, and I've gotta say, it's a lot of fun. I usually have one day off per week where I have nothing else planned, and reloading has been occupying that time nicely. I was talking about in another video that getting 165 grain range ammo was too expensive to buy regularly, for me at least. So, I said fuck it, and ended up just loading it myself, though with a 160 grain projectile, not 165. I cooked up a few different loads, but for most of my first batch of ammo I went with a downloaded 147 grain subsonic. This is because, for my first batch of ammunition, I wanted to play it safe just in case my powder measure gave me trouble, which it didn't, thankfully. For cases, I used cases I washed and processed myself from about a dozen different manufacturers. Not the best for consistency and precision, but it was free. For primers, I used some CCI nickel-plated small pistol primers, and some, I'll try to pronounce this, Servicios y Aventuras. I believe these primers are produced in Argentina. Both seat well in all the cases with or without primer pocket resizing, but the Servicios are a tiny bit more difficult to seat, but way cheaper. I'm talking 5 cents per primer, which is pretty good these days. For powder, I used Hodgdon CFE. CFE, copper fouling eraser, helps reduce copper fouling in your barrel. But I'm shooting polymer-coated bullets, so there's absolutely no benefit here. I just wanted to go with a well-regarded powder, and I've heard good things about CFE, so whatever. For projectiles, I used the Blue Bullets polymer-coated 147 grain flat nose and 160 grain round nose bullets. Polymer-coated bullets are slightly safer to shoot steel with up close than copper-plated or a jacketed round. But, for the most part, I chose these because they aren't too expensive and are of good quality. For the 147 flat noses, the cartridge overall length, COL, was 1.145, and the 160 grains were 1.150. Alright, now onto the specific loads. First load is a 147 grain load with 3.0 grains of CFE pistol powder. I've seen that about 3.6 grains is standard for a starter load, but, as mentioned before, I wanted to play it safe. I also don't recommend you try any of the loads described in this video for safety and legal reasons. This load was very quiet for a 147, of course due to the lighter powder charge. They still smacked steel with authority despite that, and yes, they recoiled noticeably less than other 147 grain target loads I've shot. It cycled fine out of my blowback 9mm with a 5.5 inch barrel suppressed and unsuppressed, but with the blowback action I was getting fireballs a bit too close to my face for comfort. I'm pretty sure this is due to the light powder charge, as it didn't happen with the full power loads, or at least not as often. My 5-inch Walther PDP would not cycle these rounds well. I think 1 out of 15 cycled, which speaks to the consistency of my load, I guess. My PSA Dagger Compact with a 4.5-inch barrel ran these well suppressed, but for some reason, manually extracting any of these loads is a pain in the ass in this gun. My best guess is because I used .356 diameter bullets instead of the more standard .355s. These rounds were sticking in the chamber, and I noticed that some of the polymer would get worn off the tips of the bullets. Interesting to know that the Dagger has a tight chamber, giggity. This problem persisted with all the loads I tried, so I'll likely go for a batch of normal .355 bullets next time. Next up are some super downloaded 147 grain subs I did just for fun. These use 2.2 grains of powder instead of the 3.0 for my normal 2 weak to function rounds. These were stupid quiet in my suppressed AR-9 and actually still cycles despite them just barely dribbling out the ejection port. Again, I'm getting fireballs in the face. But that landed right there. This gun has the Blowback 9 gentle recoil system in it, so the fact these can still cycle is even more impressive. These of course did not cycle in my PDP. If the hotter loads didn't, this wouldn't either. They also did not cycle the Dagger. Not surprising. Now for the full power 147 grain load using 3.6 grains of powder. I say full power, this is the starter load. This cycled in all 3 guns, and it felt pretty close to factory 147 grain target loads I've shot, but not quite. It of course was also louder than the downloads. I then did some 160 grain normal pressure rounds. Normal pressure as in the 2.8 grains that Hodgdon recommends for a starter load. Definitely more recoil than the normal power 147s, but were noticeably quieter, which is in line with other tests I've done. For a component cost of about 20 cents per round after shipping, I'm extremely happy with how these turned out. Also did some 160 grains with the max recommended load from Hodgdon, and wow! Definitely not as quiet and recoiled significantly harder than the lighter load. And that's pretty much it. Those are the loads I've tried thus far. Shipping included, I paid about 19 cents of materials per 147 grain, compared to the 30 to 40 cents to buy factory. And about 20 cents per 160 grain round, compared to 50 to 60 cents per round factory. It's also been a lot of fun, and long term, I'll definitely save some money on 9mm. Hope to start reloading 223 as well sometime soon, but I'll try not to make this a reloading channel. That being said, I would definitely recommend you get into it if you have the free time. Plus, in the event of ammo shortages, which are sure to come because it's an election year, I'll still be able to shoot relatively regularly. But it really doesn't matter if you shoot hand loads or factory ammo, as long as you train. Plan a range trip, watch your calories, and have fun. Take care.